Hello and welcome back to The Good, the Bad and the Ugly Show, and welcome back again to another top 10 video. So today we're running through the top 10 British sitcoms of the 70s. So we're going to go with British sitcoms that began in the 70s. This is my top 10 list. It's not like the definitive list, it's my opinion, all that stuff. So like angry comments, positive stuff, memories, nostalgia, whatever. Anyhow, let's get into it. So we begin at number 10. Now, something has to be at the bottom of the list, and I think this one's, probably about right for that. This is Are You Being Served?
Ground floor perfumery, stationery and leather goods, wigs and haberdashery, kitchenware and food.
This ran from 1972 to 1985 and was aired by the BBC. So, created by David Croft and Jeremy Lloyd, originally designed as a short for Comedy Playhouse. Comedy Playhouse was a series that ran from the 60s to the early to mid 70s. A lot of really interesting series started out life that way, one of them being Steptoe and Son. So, starring Molly Sugden, Trevor Bannister, John Inman, and Wendy Richard, who you might remember fondly as Pauline Fowler from EastEnders. Yeah. So this was everyday life in a big department store in London, in Britain, in the 1970s. So yeah, it's pretty good. They eventually replaced the main star with another person who looked a bit like him. They did that sometimes. This series was very campy. Had a lot of catchphrases. A lot of them involving Mrs. Slocum's pussy. Wendy Richards. The main geezer trying to cop a feel with Wendy Richard and all of that. A lot of that going on. Yeah, it was good. It was all right. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. The theme tune was great. The theme tune sounding a little similar to Money by Pink Floyd. I don't know which one's better, really. I do know which one's better. So at number 9, we have It Ain't Half Hot, Mum.
I've got very thin skull bones.
Well, you know why that is, don't you?
No.
You've got such a huge brain. It's rubbing on the inside and wearing your head out.
So this aired from 1974 to 1981, and another BBC One production, and starring Michael Bates, Windsor Davies, and George Layton. So this was set in 1945 at the end of the Second World War, and it was the Royal Artillery Concert Party Unit. So these were the guys who entertained the troops, basically. And you had Windsor Davies playing the kind of angry, stern, tough corporal who was trying to whip this brigade into shape. Kind of unnecessarily considering what they were doing there in the first place. I did love this show though, as a child. It's alright, watching it back now, the episodes are pretty good. There's some quite funny moments in it, and some actually very good characters. But yeah, an enjoyable programme. I don't really have a lot to say about it, to be honest. It was alright. It's in the list. It's memorable. Yeah.
Disgusting! Never have I seen such a display of blatant puffery.
Coming in at number 8, we have Man About the House.
There's a man in the bath! A what? A man! A fella asleep in the bath! Oh yes! Is he one of yours? Hang on. No? No, I've never seen him before.
Running from 1973 to 1976 and aired on ITV by Brian Cook and Johnny Mortimer, starring Richard O'Sullivan, Paula Wilcox, Sally Tomsett, Youth Joyce and Brian Murphy. So Youth Joyce and Brian Murphy obviously went on, they were George and Mildred, they were the owners of the house of which the man was about. So yeah, they were the owners, they had these tenants, one dude, 2 ladies, that's basically the premise of it. Richard O'Sullivan, as the main guy. He eventually went off to do his own spin-off called Robin's Nest later on. Pretty much the same kind of thing. He was a fairly known face of comedy around this time. One of the ladies was in the Railway Children as well. I can't remember which one it was. This one. And obviously George and Mildred, they went off to have their own show called, funnily enough, George and Mildred, which actually was pretty good. It could be in this list. I haven't put it in this list because I didn't really enjoy it as much as the other stuff that I have put on the list, if that makes sense. But that was pretty good as well. And I think George and Mildred was running in the 80s anyway, from what I remember. Or maybe it finished in the 80s. I don't know. There was a film, though. There was a George and Mildred film that was a little bit odd. But there was also a Man About the House film made by Hammer, of all people. They also made the On the Buses films as well. But the film I really enjoyed, actually. That's about a developer trying to buy the house, and they're trying to evict. Well, George is trying to get the money and trying to evict them all without them knowing about it. He's kind of cashing in. I like that. It's quite funny. There's some good scenes in that film. The TV series was very good, actually, I think. I watched it all back a while ago. They showed the repeats on one of those many channels that still dare to show this stuff. I might state at this point that a lot of these comedies, you just won't see them on TV anymore because people have decided, or somebody up there has decided, that we shouldn't laugh at awkward situations about awkward subjects, that we shouldn't be making fun of racists, bigots, sexist, misogynists, and all that stuff. Instead, we should completely ignore their existence and pretend they never existed and just watch Mrs. Brown's Boys. I'm not really down with that, so I still watch all this stuff because it's great. Back to the video.
I don't know, Mildred. It's a bit posh for us, isn't it?
Oh, don't worry about it, George. When you sit there in your vest, scratching yourself, it'll be instant Coronation Street.
Coming in at number 7, we have The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perry.
Reggie, sit down.
Thank you, CJ. Be firm. Be masterful. It's only human.
What?
Nothing, CJ.
So this series, from 1976 to 1979, aired on the BBC, BBC One, by David Nobbs, starring Leonard Rossiter and Pauline Yates. So Reginald Perry was great. It was based on the original books as well. Some of the matters in the books were deemed too dark for TV comedy at that time, so a lot of things were changed about. The books are absolutely great, actually. I remember reading a couple of those. My granddad had some of the books. I remember reading them there. Very funny. Yeah, it's about a man who becomes sort of disillusioned with his pointless job at Sunshine Desserts. So he basically fakes his own death and then disappears, leaving a pile of clothes by the sea, and goes off to live a new life. He then gets tracked down by his wife and family and friends and people, and then he comes back and starts a new job where he sells like jokes and stuff. He kind of, turns his life upside down and just kind of has a more fun, sillier kind of outlook. It's a good series, a good fun thing. They brought it back in 1996, I believe, with the legacy of Reginald Perry, which really wasn't anywhere near as good and completely pointless. I mean, Leonard Rossiter was dead by this point, so I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking with that, really. They always try to bring these things back, like Still Open, the Open All Hours reboot, and there's even a Porridge one about Fletcher's son or grandson or something. I don't know. Sometimes these things, they were great. Probably leave them in the past. But don't bloody stop showing them, okay? Leave them in the past, repeat them. But just them, not make them again. You know what I'm saying? Anyhow, it was a great series, Reginald Perry, and I really enjoyed it. Leonard Rossiter, he had a couple of sitcoms under his belt. We'll get into another one of those, perhaps, in a bit. Okay, coming in at number 6, we have The Good Life.
No! I'm not watching the bloody Good Life! Bloody! I hate it! It's so bloody nice!
So, The Good Life, from 1975 to 1978, and airing on BBC One, known as Good Neighbours in the US. This was by John Esmond and Bob Larby, starred Richard Briers and Felicity Kendall. So a lot of people, I think, would probably have put this one at number 1. I'm not, however, a lot of people, so it's number 6 on my list. I think it was great. I really enjoyed it. I always liked it, but it is a little bit nicey-nicey for me. A little bit twee, perhaps. I don't know. Twee? Tweed? Twee. A little bit tweed. But it's a great premise and something we could actually aspire to now. It's all about self-sufficiency, you see. Don't buy food, grow it. And then you're halfway there, beating the system. I think that's something we could take now, isn't it? But yeah, it's great. So he gets fed up with his job. He turns 40, I believe it was 40. Man, people looked different when they were 40 back then. I'm 40 now. I don't know, maybe I look older than he did then. I don't know. But he turns 40 and decides that his life is boring, so he decides to jack in his job and go self-sufficient. Turn his garden into a farm. Basically, his entire property, his house and his land into a farm. Would be great if it wasn't on a particularly posh middle-class suburban area. So obviously his neighbours aren't that into the idea of pigs and chickens and cockerels and stuff. And you have like his slightly snooty friends living next door, who they're kind of like, they help out, but they're kind of against it, but kind of for it at the same time. It's that kind of dynamic. You know. Felicity Kendall's great. Richard Briers, he was already quite known, but he made a real kind of career out of this, I think. He went on to do Ever Decreasing Circles, which I also love. That was another good one. 80s again, I think, that one. But yeah, this was a great show. And the last episode is kind of sort of harrowing, really, because it's all cutesy, nicey nice, and kind of tweed the whole way through. But you get to the final episode, and they're having a party next door, and they come home to find their house has been trashed, and there's like swastikas like sprayed onto the walls and stuff. It's really quite shocking. It really takes you out of that cozy environment and puts you into like real life, and you're like, shit, man, this is like being, it's like a slap in the face. It's weird, but they handled that really well, and it's quite a good episode because they're kind of like, well, we're going to carry on all that. It's kind of like stepping out of the comfy comedy they've created to show the real world does exist, but they're choosing to kind of embrace the comfortable world that they've created. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm looking way too much into this, I think. I think I might be on the right track, and I've got derailed somewhere. But, yeah, no, it's a great show. It was fun. It was good. What can you say?
I don't understand that.
No, neither do I. Still, I know what I mean. Anyway, we're drinking to Tom and Barbara and their bizarre life.
So we've reached the halfway point. At number 5, we have Some Mothers Do Have 'Em.
What never... On the main.
So, this series aired from 1973 to 1978 on BBC One. It was by Raymond Allen and starring Michael Crawford and Michelle Dautrice. You might remember her mainly from The Blood on Satan's Claw. That's what I remember her from. Yeah. But, and this, obviously. But yeah, Michael Crawford, Frank Spencer. Obviously, Michael Crawford made a name for himself as the Phantom of the Opera later on. And let's not forget Condor Man, obviously. But this was a great show. He did all of his own, like, stunts and stuff in this. Absolutely amazing. If he's not, like, roller skating, hanging onto the back of a removal van or Christ knows what else. I'll stick some footage on screen now of just some of the crazy shit that happened to this guy through this series. This may have been my very first experience with anxiety watching Some Others Do Have 'Em, because you knew he was going to fuck it up. Like you go to a nice house where everything's controlled by like a computer, and he's going to go and take care of that computer, and he's going to take water down there, and he's going to destroy it, and it's all going to go wrong, and everything's going to go horrible. If he goes into like an attic, his foot's going to come through the ceiling. My dad did that once when I was a kid, and I still have trauma from that, I think. But, Frank Spencer definitely softened the blow slightly. But, yeah, it just gave me anxiety watching it as a kid, really. I love it as an adult, though. It's just fun. The guy was just... I don't know, he's not, like, stupid. He kind of is. But he's not an imbecile. He kind of is. Just a very unfortunate... One of God's unfortunate creatures, I suppose they might say. I don't know, or whoever's unfortunate creatures, perhaps. But yeah, like the title says, Some Others Do Have 'Em, and they bloody well do. I think we've all met people like Frank Spencer. Maybe there's a little Frank Spencer in all of us. There's definitely some in me.
As my mother said, it takes one to tell one.
So at number 4, we have Rising Damp.
You enter, you're in. You close the door, you wait for the conversation to die down, you shoot your cuffs like that, and then you adjust them, leaving just visible the diamond cufflinks. When you're bidden to sit, shall I sit? You sit, you come over, its fingers on the trousers, up and down, to avoid any stiffness, just a casual throw of the leg over like that, with nonchalant ease, and then you're that's it, right, there it is.
So, Rising Damp aired from 1974 to 1978 on ITV. It was by Eric Chappell and starred Leonard Rossiter, Francis de la Tour, Richard Beckinsale, and Don Warrington. So this series was absolutely great. If you haven't seen it or you didn't really watch this one, go and seek it out. What it did have, Don Warrington always said what he liked about it, appreciated the most, was that his character was given the opportunity to kind of turn the prejudice and the racism around on the perpetrator. So it wasn't just calling people names and having digs and having one over, like on Love Thy Neighbour and that kind of thing. This was him playing the guy at his own game. So kind of stitching him up, really. Getting him to go and wave a bit of wood on fire as like a love potion, you know, to the lady he admires, stuff, stitching him up with little kind of trickery. This is what we used to do in my tribe, you know, that kind of thing. It's funny, because the guy's obviously actually just quite an intelligent student who's studying something, you know, I can't remember exactly what he studied, but an intelligent man. So the series is about a bedsit, a house of multiple occupancy. Landlord being the miserly Mr. Rigsby, played by Leonard Rossiter. And you have Miss Jones, who was a tenant, a long-term tenant staying there. And you had the students who lived in the attic room. But yeah, the show had a lot of really cool gags, really good jokes in it. Mainly Mr. Rigsby setting himself up for failure was the general running joke of the series. There was eventually a film made, which I don't think was very good, to be honest. A lot of the actors were changed in the film. Yeah, kind of a cliche from the 60s, really. Moving onwards, young people having to live in kind of these old, nasty, squalor buildings. Eventually, they were all torn down. Some were redeveloped into posh houses, but a lot of them were torn down, and they built tower blocks and stuff like that. Like what happened in Till Death Us Do Part, but that's another thing for another time. Anyhow. So we move on to number 3, and it's Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads.
I've travelled, man. I've seen a bit of the world now, you know.
What do you think of Koreans, for instance?
Not to be trusted. Cruel people. Much the same as all Orientals.
That's a third of the world's population dismissed in a phrase. Russians?
Sinister.
Egyptians?
Cowardly.
Oh, I thought you might have saved that for Italians.
No. They're greasy, aren't they? Not as greasy as the French, mind.
Germans?
Arrogant.
Spaniards?
Lazy.
Danes?
Pornographic.
So, Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads? 1973 to 1974, from BBC One by Dick Clement and Ian Lefones. I bet that ain't how you pronounce it. So this was starring James Boland and Rodney Brewers. So this was great, actually. One of my favourite, hence why it's in the top 3 anyway. It started life in the 60s as a sitcom called The Likely Lads, about a couple of northern lads who work in a little kind of factory, repair shop, factory setting. It's about them going out drinking, pulling birds, getting up to mischief, that kind of thing. A couple of likely lads. So Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads is exactly that. So it's them, they're a little bit more middle-aged, they're now kind of, Bob's now married, Terry's kind of wondering, just come back from the army. And it's kind of catching up with them. What do they do next? Where do they go from here? And it's great. There's a wonderful dynamic between them, between one of them trying to kind of recapture the youth he lost in the army and just kind of getting drunk and wanting to chase women around and do that kind of thing, and the other one trying to live his domesticated, wedded life in suburbia. It's just fantastic. Theme tune was great as well. This is one of the great British sitcom theme tunes. Just fantastic. The writers went on to do like Alf Reader's Same Pet and some other stuff. They were great, actually. I really enjoy the writers for this. There was a film again. The film actually isn't too bad. I honestly think a lot of these films made on British sitcoms weren't that great, but this was one of the exceptions. I think it was all right. It was quite fun. But sadly, during the making of the film, the two main stars, James Boland and Rodney Brewers, fell out and they never spoke again, which is kind of sad. So there was never another reunion. Could have been good to have had them as, you know, older people. That would have been quite fun, like a sort of 80s, like what happened to them again, you know. But maybe not. Anyhow, that's number 3.
In the chocolate box of life, the top layer's already gone. And someone's pinched the orange cream from the bottom.
Bloody hell.
So at number 2, we have most people's favourite British sitcom, Porridge.
Fletcher?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir.
That is your title, isn't it, sir?
True, but I did not expect to hear it so readily from your lips.
So Porridge ran from 1974 to 1977, and the pilot episode was an episode of 7 of 1, which was a 1973 Ronnie Barker series where it had a short story every week. Also to come out of that was Open All Hours. This again was written by Dick Clement and Ian Lifones. Again, wonderful writers. Starring Ronnie Barker and Richard Beckinsale. Yeah, where they were 2 inmates serving time at the fictional HMP Slade Prison in Cumberland. So, a sitcom about a prison. It's very much steptoe and son again, 2 people forced to live in a small space with various different things happening each week. The classic sitcom thing, really. But also, this is great. I mean, how can you make a sitcom about miserable people in prison and make it funny and make it different every week? They achieved it in the same way that Red Dwarf in the early days achieved it, where they had the same setting, the same characters, but they managed to come up with something wonderful every time. Just perfect. So Porridge, I mean, what can you say about Porridge? There's just some fantastic episodes. My God, yeah, just some brilliant characters in there. I mean, you had genial Harry Grout, who, you know, scared the shit out of me. Yeah, not someone you want to mess with. We had some other great characters in there. You had Horrible Ives. This was just perfect, really. No theme tune as well. Clever, just a sort of bleak, chains rattling, doors slamming. That was the theme music, basically, which is just brilliant. Again, very in keeping with the whole prison, the atmosphere of prison, you know. What more to say? There was a film made later on. The film was all right. Nothing particularly memorable, the film. Yeah, but the series, great. There was also a spin-off series called Going Straight. Now, I don't really like it. I watched the whole lot and didn't think that much of it, except the very first episode of that was pure brilliance. That was Fletcher on a train going home to his family, and he bumps into Mr. Mackay on the train, and they get drunk and just chat away, and that's basically the episode. One other subplot does take part, but that's basically it. And that was superb. I really enjoyed that, and I thought, wow, this series is going to be as good as Porridge. It really wasn't, to be honest. I won't go into that. Nah, we don't talk about that. We don't need to talk about that. Anyhow, Porridge was great. If you're not familiar with it, again, go and check that one out. Yeah.
Fat lot of good that was. Fat lot of good you was and all.
Not talking to you.
Pardon?
Not talking to you.
Ha, just proved yourself wrong, ain't you? See?
And at number 1, if you couldn't guess what would be my favourite number 1 British sitcom of the 70s, it is, of course, Fawlty Towers.
Manuel!
Oh.
Yes, Fawlty Towers, hello. I was just doing it, you stupid woman. I just put it down to come here to be reminded by you to do what I'm already doing. I mean, what is the point of reminding me to do what I'm already doing? I mean, what is the bloody point? I'm doing it.
So, Fawlty Towers ran from 1975 to 1979. Well, basically, there were only 2 series, one made in 75, one made in 79. This again was for the BBC. So, this was by John Cleese and Connie Booth, and they both starred in it as well, along with, you know, the other people. You know the people who starred in Fawlty Towers. I haven't got to tell you. Here they are, look at them all. So, yeah, basically this was based on a script that John Cleese wrote for Doctor in the House. If you can go and watch the episode, I can't remember which one it is. I might put it on screen, I don't know. But he was inspired by Monty Python while they were making one of the films. It might have been, what would it have been? It might have been Holy Grail. I should probably imagine it was Holy Grail. But they were staying in Torquay, and they went to stay in a little hotel in Torquay called the Glen Eagles, which us Devonshire lads are all quite familiar with. Not there anymore, though. But yeah, the bloke who ran it was very eccentric. and there was an incident where he threw one of their bags over a wall because he believed it had a bomb in it. So very crazy, over-the-top ridiculousness. I think all of Monty Python left in disgust at what was going on around them, whereas John Cleese just was so interested he had to stay and find out for himself what this guy was all about. So yeah, that's where Fawlty Towers came from. The interior, like the outside of the hotel and all the streets and stuff, the outside shots, were all filmed in and around London. Nothing was filmed in Torquay. Absolutely nothing. And the original Glen Eagles isn't there either. Because if all that stuff was there, I would have already made a location video. Sadly, yeah, nothing there. Yeah. But yeah, Fawlty Towers was absolutely wonderful. I loved Basil Fawlty, the character. Manuel, the very cheap Spanish waiter he's employed from Barcelona, as we know. You have the Major, who is a wonderful character as well. It's just great. The guests, I mean, there isn't a dull episode. There are episodes I prefer to other ones, but nothing terrible. My least favourite episode, probably Basil the Rat. My favourite episode of the lot, the Hotel Inspectors. Actually, I was thinking Gourmet Night. It's a good one. But the Hotel Inspectors, because Bernard Cribbins.
Oh, no, for goodness sake,
What is it?
I did not order a lamb casserole.
No, he didn't. He did not order one, Polly, so why has he got one?
Because Mrs. Fawlty told me to give him one.
I know how she feels.
What the hell was he thinking with the Hitler moustache and the ridiculousness of that character as well? I don't know. They did something very clever there, again. Any fans of Friday Night Dinners, people who watch that might recognise a little bit of that in Mr. Morris. Yeah, now you see that ridiculousness of some of these characters being inspiration for stuff to come and come and come again. But yeah, I don't want to go off on a tangent. But yeah, Fawlty Towers was just brilliant. Another great theme tune as well, totally fitting the feel of the programme itself. I don't know what to say about it, really. Just some great episodes there, just some great writing. Fun, man. The Germans, a very good episode. And I've heard that John Cleese is currently trying to create a sequel series to this. I hope he doesn't. Because it will either be too far in one direction or too far in the other, you know? It will be like bait, ammunition for either side somewhere. As I say, these things should be left in the past. Not that we shouldn't be allowed to enjoy them still, but they should be left in the past. That's kind of, you know, you can't go back. You should go forward, create something new, something fun. Just enjoy these things for what they were. That's my stand on it anyway. Other people might disagree. You know, tell me in the comments if you do. I don't know. But anyway, Fawlty Towers is something that I still watch on a regular basis. I will probably watch a little bit later on tonight. I don't know. I just love this. I can't get enough of it, to be honest. So, we've done our top 10. Now I'm going to do a couple of honourable mentions. That's right. At number 1, we have Bless This House, which ran from 1971 to 1976. Written by Vince Powell and Harry Driver, and starring the legendary Sid James. Bless This House is very good. Another one they made a film of, I think Hammer again made the film. I could be wrong there. Had that feel of it about it. I don't know. But yeah, it was great. It's not going to be in my top 10 because it wasn't that great, but it was bloody good at the same time. And next we have Butterflies, 1978 to 1983. Written by Carla Lane and starring Wendy Craig and Gregory Palmer. So Butterflies was actually very good. It would probably be much higher up and definitely in the top 10 of most people. It's not in my top 10, not at all. I enjoyed it, as I say. It's not something I'd go up my way to watch. If I turned the TV on and I had nothing to do for a little while, I'd probably watch it. But it's not something I would particularly want to revisit. But it was good. It gets a mention. It should get a mention. And a very young Nicholas Lyndhurst as well, playing the son. He also played the son in Going Straight as well. He seemed to start his career off by playing awkward teenage sons of people. You got to start somewhere. And to be honest, he's kind of doing that in Only Fools and Horses, I guess. And next up on our honourable mentions, we have, of course, Citizen Smith. From 1977 to 1980, written by the legendary John Sullivan, again, Only Fools and Horses, starring Robert Lindsay. Yeah, so, Citizen Smith was great. Freedom for tooting and all that stuff. Yeah, set in Tooting, a little borough of London. Sister Smith was great. Yeah, I'm not going to go too much into it. It was good, it was fun. I don't remember it all that well. I remember a couple of things about it. One being, you bloody Yeti, his father-in-law, I used to call him. His father-in-law, played by two different actors. Two very familiar actors. And finally, on the honourable mention list, we have Only When I Laugh. So this aired from 79 to 82 and was written by Eric Chappell, again starring James Boland, as we know from the Likely Lads. And you had a Richard Wilson, a young Richard Wilson, a younger Richard Wilson. I don't think Richard Wilson ever looked that young, to be honest. He doesn't in this. A slightly younger Richard Wilson playing the Doctor in it. About it's kind of Carry On Doctor, the series, basically a bunch of people in hospital, the day-to-day shenanigans. Yeah, it was good. I mean, it's not that great, but it was alright. The theme tune I really liked. The theme tune was great on that one, actually.
M-H-A-P-P-Y. M-H-A-P-P-Y. I know I am, I'm sure I am. M-H-A-P-P-Y.
So a couple of things to mention as well. You might be saying, well, where the fuck is Dad's Army? Where's Steptoe and Son? Where's Till Death Us Do Part? You bastard. Well, let me tell you, all of these series started in the 60s. Late 60s, I'll give you that, for most of them, but they all started in the 60s. So we will do a 60s top 10 as well at some point, and they'll all be in there. Mark my words, they will. But we'll also do an 80s and a 90s one, all depending on how well this video does, really. If people like it, or watch it, or whatever, then there'll be more. Because, you know, why the hell not? Anyhow, thanks for joining me for this video. Like and subscribe, please, and all that stuff. And, yeah, I don't know, keep watching The Good, The Bad, and The Ugly Show.
Because there's no room left in hell.